Starting this half hour with a live look over the Gann Fire. This one is rapidly spreading. It has grown by about 300 acres in just the past 4 hours, according to Cal Fire. In total, it's now burned around 2,100 acres across Calaveras County and continues to grow with no containment.
We have live team coverage with meteorologist Rob Carlmark tracking conditions and ABC 10's Austin Castro along Hogan Dam Road. This is just south of New Hogan Lake. And we can see that the smoke is getting thicker behind you, Austin. What are you seeing?
Carolina and Jay, good morning. Yes, that's the key thing we wanted to point out here, that the smoke has really been picking up. During our 5 a.m. hour, we were able to see more of those flames, but as you look behind me, you can see more of that smoke is picking up between us and the flames here on the hill. As you mentioned, the fire now sits at about 2,100 acres. Now compare that to 8 p.m. last night when it was just at 300 acres when the evacuation orders were first issued. And as we pan over here to the left, you can also see more of that smoke and the layer of haze over the valley here. As the sun starts to rise, we're getting a better view of that smoke, but also the flames a bit more difficult to see with the smoke really starting to pick up. Now, we do want to note that the fire did start yesterday at around 5:30 p.m. when we were able to also spot the flames from smoke as we were driving over here. Cal Fire said that helicopters have been working throughout the night here alongside ground crews to help slow the fire spread and strengthen containment. They also add that the cooler overnight temperatures and high humidity have also helped make water drops more effective. We do want to emphasize evacuation orders are still in effect for parts of Calaveras County. That includes zones CCU 109, 110, 139, and 147. Cal Fire says those zones have an immediate threat to life and people there should leave immediately. And for those that are evacuating, Cal Fire said the Valley Springs Veterans Memorial has been designated as an evacuation shelter. That is at 189 Pine Street in Valley Springs. Meanwhile, the Calaveras County Fairgrounds has been designated as the large animal evacuation shelter. And back out here live, you can faintly make out the flames off there in the distance just behind the smoke. But if you look on up, you can also just see how much that smoke has really picked up overhead. We're starting to see the sun rise and really see the impact of the fire on the air here. The air appears to be blowing away from Valley Springs, and so we aren't seeing too much of it from where we're standing, but off in the distance, you can see just how much that smoke is really picking up. Of course, we are continuing to follow the latest developments on this ongoing fire, and we'll bring you the latest on the Gann Fire as it continues throughout the morning. Live in Valley Springs, Austin Castro, ABC 10.
All right, thank you, Austin. And seeing that smoke, it kind of gives you an idea of the conditions that firefighters are also dealing with that heavy, thick smoke. All right, Austin, now we're going to go to Rob, who's been tracking the conditions, and this fight is just going to get harder as the day begins, Rob.
You know, they attack the fire directly and make the most progress overnight, and then during the day they do what they can. They're going to be able to fly more aircraft directly because the winds are not really going to be picking up until later on into the day, and there may be some benefits to the wind and some downsides as well, especially if you're downwind of where the fire is going, especially with smoke and haze. Because, you know, during the initial hours and the first day of a fire, it's all about, you know, lives and property and making sure that those are as safe as possible. And then as the fire continues to grow, becomes established, then it's all about fighting the fire, where to put those containment lines, and then also where is the smoke going to go? Because there is essentially no control over that. That is up to the weather. So this is what we're seeing so far this morning. A little bit of drifting down to the south. And then as these onshore winds start to pick up today, which is essentially a good weather story for most people because that's part of why we're cooling down, it is going to take that smoke plume and then move it off to the east and a little bit down to the south. So if you're downwind, essentially if you're up and down Highway 4 or getting closer to where Sonora is. So this is the area that's going to be more affected by the smoke. I would keep an eye too on South Lake Tahoe because overnight, the winds will calm down, and if there's more growth on that fire, because it's going to be moving uphill in some ways, South Lake Tahoe and up and down Highway 50 might be the next place to be impacted by smoke in the days ahead. We still have a high fire danger, folks, even without a red flag warning. The fuels are definitely dry, and they're getting drier. In fact, we're starting to push up closer toward extreme burning potential because of the dry fuels, not because of the wind. We're just talking about months and months without rain, hot conditions, dry air, low humidity, and those fuels, and essentially the dry grasses get extremely dry, and there's a lot of potential for them to burn. So we're moving up the scale day by day and week by week.